Now, let's visit an unlikely hero. His name is Henry, and he's a three-legged cat. Now, Henry's enthusiasm for life, despite his missing leg, inspired his human, psychotherapist Kathy Conheim, to write a book about Henry's life. And that book touched the hearts of complete strangers, who then wrote Henry letters to share their personal setbacks and tales of survival. Welcome to Henry's World.
Isn't that a good boy? Not a good boy. Animals have this unique ability, unlike humans. They don't look in their rearview mirror. The minute Henry lost his leg, he just moved on as if he never had it. He's not a handicapped cat, he's a handy cat. He can jump 6 foot in the air, he can race around the house like anything. What humans do is we look in our rearview mirror and we lament what we didn't have. The beauty of what Henry is he reminds us it's not the events of our lives. It's our responses to the events that dictate who we become. I didn't know that feral cats don't come in onesies, so kitty, 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 and kitty arrived. And when they arrived, Henry was the only boy kitty, and he had all 4 legs. But the next week when we came, there were only 3 kitties, and we went searching for him, and he was dragging his paw from the shoulder. We rushed him to the local vet, and the local vet said, the good news is he's 4.5 months, and he's a very healthy kitty. But the bad news is he has to have an amputation at the shoulder because he'd die of gangrene dragging this leg, and he'd need to be an indoor cat. I wasn't inspired so much to write for Henry, I was in shock. So I sat down and sort of channeled Henry in his saying, you won't believe where I ended up. I was chasing leaves yesterday, and today I'm in a home, and it has interesting things, but everything I go to touch says no on it. So we sent that to 20 friends announcing Henry's arrival. And they must have sent it to other people, and then they wrote back to Henry. Nobody was writing back to me. They wrote back to Henry, and there ensued the cyberspace trip, which now has ended up with my answering at least 60,000 letters for Henry in Henry's voice. I haven't signed my own name in years. So Henry's not writing, hi, how are you letters. He's writing letters to people with challenges. He's writing letters to people who need a safe place to talk about their inner feelings. And because he's a cross between a child and an animal, there's this instant trust. And Henry can get away with things that I couldn't as a psychotherapist. The first book became Henry's World, and it's a three-legged cat's view of human absurdity. And it's an email odyssey of the first 4 months of his life, where you have some of the emails that he wrote and back and forth and with pictures. The second book came, which is What's the Matter with Henry? The True Tale of a Three-Legged Cat. And in this one, they told the story of how Henry came to be, but at the end of each book are his kibbles for thought. You know, like hate is learned. Play the paw you're dealt. Just because you can't do anything doesn't give you permission to do nothing. We need to give humans something. So we made workbooks. Now 4,000 of these books have gone to our returning wounded from Iraq and Afghanistan. There was a teacher in Sacramento that got one of Henry's books, and she decided to start teaching through Henry. And they asked if I'd come up for a school assembly. Well, 1,000 children were there. And when 1,000 children held up these individual pieces of art that were amazing, and Henry was the inspiration, and as these 1,000 faces who I had never seen or met held up their pieces of art, each piece of art was different, just like each child was different. And as they waved them in the air, I was just completely overwhelmed. I'm not usually at a loss for words, but it was just one of those astounding moments. These animals in these books have become the transitional objects for kids and for grown-ups. They become safe if I hold them. Imagine every kid having a Henry puppet that they could talk to and through and for. Kids who can't afford an animal, kids who don't trust human beings or have nobody to talk to. That Henry, this soft Henry, becomes the transitional object. And he goes where angels fear to tread. I mean, people have written after a murder or after a death and asked Henry to write this person. Well, I'd feel very timid. You know, I don't know this person. But Henry can extend his front paw, his remaining paw, in just an innocent way to try to comfort those who've been hurt. If you move through life with what it gives you, you play the paw that you're dealt. And his invitation is to everybody to be the best you can be. Whoever that is, however that is, black, white, Asian, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, So I think in a divisive world, he's a resting place, because he says, no matter who you are, be the best you can be. And if a cat's life deserves a book, every person's life deserves a novel, and you should be the protagonist in it.